And welcome back to the Daily Wrap. Well, before we jump back in, let's jump on board, shall we? Newsmax wants to send one lucky couple on a 7-day Silver Sea cruise to the Caribbean this winter. Obviously, a luxury cruise on the Silver Wind is a trip of a lifetime. To win, you need to enter our sweepstakes, however. Visit newsmax.com/sweepstakes to enter. That's newsmax.com/sweepstakes. Okay, it's time for Potluck. This is the part of the show we go around the table, share our favorite stories of the day. Favorite may not be the word I'm looking for here. Right. Disturbing may be more accurate.
Disturbing, predictive, interesting, maybe a little entertaining, but we'll get there. I bring you tonight killer robots.
Where'd you get that footage of my favorite cousin?
Well, it turns out the robots are now getting their revenge. That was from Terminator 1, obviously, and for millions and millions of people who've seen the show, this is a story in which life is now imitating art, because now it's not the robots that are being killed by the machine, the robots are killing people. Now, what happened? In a VW plant outside of Kassel, Germany, a 21-year-old technician was installing a new robot. The robot literally turned on him, and it did to him what it was designed to do. It picked him up and crushed him.
God,
it crushed him full on, and he is gone. Now, so it is a little bit that old fear of, the machines will take over, and that's what's going to happen. And here you can see that these are the robots. That's not the robots that did the crushing, right. But look at those hands reaching in, and that is the stuff that is a little bit scary. In fact, the VW spokesperson came out and tried to explain by actually saying it wasn't one of those gentler next-generation robots that collaborate with people.
Well,
it was obviously it was a union dispute, clearly.
Of course.
Clearly.
Scott Walker again.
Right.
Smart
Well,
for breaking
goes
up
even
these
further and says, no, we usually keep the non-collaborative robots in cages.
Cages?
Cages. So the fear about all this stuff, the machines taking over, obviously there's something going on. Now that's the life imitating art part. There's
may I stop you?
Yeah,
because I need a little bit more background on this story. I purposely didn't read about it because I wanted to be, surprised. I wanted this to be organic as possible.
It's surprising.
Are these robots, the ones that are being built in Germany, being trained to be military, or was, in other words, when this 21-year-old, this poor guy was crushed and killed, are they being trained to be picked up to pick up big stuff to move them around warehouses?
They pick up large things, car parts, and they put them on the chassis.
And they thought that he was a car part.
And it's just malfunction.
Right. Well, the funny kind of malfunction because it's the way it's programmed, and the programming of the machines ultimately, even in science fiction, always goes back to people. The machines don't have morals. So part of this story is the decisions we make, and this is where it does get a little bit serious. Obviously, it was serious enough for the 21, 22-year-old kid who got killed. But it has implications for labor in America and in the world in general, because the efficiencies that machines create, which do benefit the economy, both in the near term and the long term, also cost real jobs. And how do we begin to balance that? Because it's not going to be done by saying, bring back the old days and have a bunch of unionists defending jobs that are ridiculous. That's stupid. And it's also not going to be done by people saying, well, people will simply figure it out by themselves and we'll just cast them to the side, because that's not going to work either. We're going to need new thinking that actually appreciates the role of machines in our everyday lives is simply going to increase. We're not going backwards on this one.
Seems like we're at a bad crossroads, Rick.
Yeah, that's just well, I don't know that it's a bad crossroads, but we are at a crossroads. And what amazes me is that we have been talking about this crossroads for over a generation. Who hasn't talked about the day coming where technology would replace the need for human labor? Well, we're here. We said it was coming. I think nobody really believed it, like it was science fiction. Now we're here and nobody wants to acknowledge it. We look at the job numbers that came out. They were pretty good.
Sure.
We get a decent unemployment number. Of course, we talk about how, as we always do, well, a lot of those people stop looking for work.
Wages are flat.
Yeah, but what we don't talk about is what I think is the real issue we're now facing. You can blame it on the economy if you want to. You can blame it on the president or whoever it is you like to whip. The fact of the matter is we have entered the era where technology can now do jobs that people used to do. Now, when you add to that the fact that we are at the same point extending life thanks to great medical discovery and medical technology, we've got one heck of a thing brewing there, because we're going to have people in this country living much longer without jobs. What's the answer to this? The first place you start is education.
Yes.
So people are educated for that economy, and are we doing that properly? No.
More technicians, right? More people to create the technology to create the things that will
that
replace
will be part
people.
of it. We also have to be
Design,
smart.
all sorts of stuff.
Not everyone will be able to do those jobs. We need to rethink what labor means, because if we can imagine it, it is going to happen. We've got to get ahead of that curve now.
Wow, what a happy way to start your holiday weekend, everybody. Up next, yay or nay, this is the Daily Wrap.